Hey, Slash Lady Buckaroos, how the heck are you? I am Tom, the beer and whiskey whisperer. I'm having a beer at this particular moment in time where I'm going to. I haven't been feeling a lot of beer lately. Hasn't been sitting well with my belly. Don't seem to be processing it very well, but I have one that I picked up on vacation that I wanted to have with you. Bear with me while I make sure I got everything working right here. There we go. I do believe it is. I do believe it is. Anyways, I think it's working, Martha. Anyway, so far so good. Anyways, how the heck are you? I am trying to beer and whiskey whisperer. I'm enjoying a nice Saturday off, even though now it's almost over. It's been a nice, relaxing, easy day. So what I have here, we're gonna put that key in. There it is. I have the native lager from Point Remove Brewing. Let me show you that can. It's 5%. It's an easy drinker, but it uses very southern. Gosh, where's it at there? Not seeing it now. I thought it said right there. Native lager is more than a beer. It's about heritage. Muscadine. Use muscadine grapes. It took me a second to get my eyes to focus, man. Anyways, I digress. But I digress, man. Yeah, I could get my eyes on muscadine grapes. And you can really feel that, but it doesn't make the beer as sweet as you might think it, as you might think. Bear with me as I'm trying to make sure everything's working right here. There we go. Anyways, I digress. Oops, anyways, so yeah, that's what I got here. Let me show you. I also poured myself some whiskey here. Oh, yeah. Uh, the Rocktown is a 4-year-old Arkansas single malt that's finished in sherry cask at 100 proof. And damn, for a young single malt, this stuff is just absolutely gorgeous. It really is. Oops. Bear with me, folks. Uh, I'm not as tech savvy as many these days. Anyways, there we go. Now that that's set up, so yeah, let me grab that beer here, that native lager. So I wasn't able to visit the brewery; they weren't open when we were passing through there. But I did find a 6 pack at a liquor store, so I did pick it up, and I really like this one, man. It is the perfect summer beer. You do feel that notion of those muscadine grapes, and oh gosh, that's gorgeous. And having said that, it's not as sweet as you might think. It's got that little slight tartness, dries up cleaner than you might think it would. But there's just again, it's easy to drink, but there's something just a tad different about it, right? Mercy. Put that over here and pick this whiskey up. The single malt, baby. I do love me some single malt. I love the American single malt category because I feel like they're not bound by a lot of restrictions that other single malts are, right? So I feel you get a whiskey that's a little bolder. It's still 100% malted barley, but you've got a whiskey that is much bolder than its Scotch, Irish, or even Japanese counterparts. Because we're Americans and we don't follow the same rules, man. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. At the moment, it's bad because we're led by an ignorant fascist, but there are times it's good that we don't follow the rules because we're able to do things a little bit differently. At this current time, we're led by a we're we're led by an ignorant child trafficker who doesn't give a rat's ass about the law or anything else. But so it's hard to argue about America's morality at the moment in time. But hopefully things will get better. We can get rid of this jackass and get back to what we once might have been. I guess I should say. Yeah, this is a nice whiskey, though. I do again. I apologize for the segue. Sometimes I can't help myself, but yeah, I mean that's one reason I love the American single malt category is because we don't seem to be bound by the same, you know, traditions that others are. American single malts are using 100% malted barley, but some are using used bourbon barrels like Scotch and Irish or even Japanese. Some are using peated like Scotch, Irish, even Japanese. But many are using new American charred oak, which again takes it in a little bit different direction or aging it slightly different. We don't have the same tradition. So we're able to make a product that, in my opinion, is even better at a younger age because we're able to do things just a little bit differently than others are. Again, a 4-year old single malt would be considered a very young single malt. But in my opinion, this one is as good as some I've had at twice, even 3 times the age because of how it's put together and the quality of the malt used. What's amazing to me that this is only a 4-year-old single malt, and yet it is still very nuanced. It is still very easy to drink at that 100 proof. There is nothing harsh or hot about it. It is just so easy to drink at that 100 proof. I would love to have this at cask in all honesty, because this is just beyond gorgeous. I'm gonna trade here. I'm gonna put this down. Pick up this beer again. Uh, you know, we've always had these times where we've been politically divided. I don't know that we've ever been more divided, at least in my lifetime, other than, going back to before my lifetime when we're talking about the Civil War. I think the way our country is now is just so bizarre. I don't think we're ever going to find that middle ground to come together again until we possibly have another Civil War. We've got so much of the population okay with the current fascist regime. We've got so much of the population okay with folks wearing masks, rounding people up, throwing them in a detention center. It's not a prison, because to be in a prison, you have to have due process first. So where these people are being taken is not a prison. Let's make that clear. It's a detention center, or worse, a concentration camp. And then we're going to see how much worse it gets from there. But until they receive due process, no. And I had a conversation with someone a while back. I said, just so you're okay with innocent people being rounded up? He says, well, name me one innocent person. Well, I said, well, in this country, we're afforded due process. So until they've had due process, until they've had a trial, they're all innocent or should be considered so. And this person had nowhere to go, right? Because they were so locked in their ignorance and hatred and bigotry and racism that they had no argument for what I just told them. And this is where we are as a people at this moment, as you have people that are okay with ignorance, racism, and bigotry. They don't care that people are being rounded up without due process. And not only that, is they don't understand what due process means. Everybody is supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. So until these people are proven guilty, they're all innocent. How do you know they're innocent? Well, none of them have received due process yet. So how about we do that, and then those decisions can be made, right? Until then, it's not a prison; it's a concentration camp. It's not alligator Alcatraz; it's closer to alligator Auschwitz, because these people are being held without any due process whatsoever. Ah, anyways, I digress. I digress, man. I do like this beer, though, man. I never thought we'd be here, though, right? I never thought we would regress so far, so fast as a people. That folks would be okay with people being rounded up without due process. I mean, there is no time in history where folks wearing masks, afraid to show their true identity, rounding people up without due process, have been the good guys. There is no, you can look throughout history yourself, but there is no point in history where those folks have ever been the good guys. So the fact that some people think they're the good guys is rather bizarre, because there is no reference for that ever. So if you're backing these folks, I ask you to question your opinion and question your own morality. Because if you're okay with what's happening now, if you're okay with seeing what is happening, if you understand that no time through history has those have folks like that ever been the good guys, then maybe you need to question your own morality. Because truthfully, you have none. You have no morality. You have no integrity. No one should be okay with what is going on right now. Should things be happening illegally? No. But there should be legal ways to make that right, rather than folks with masks taking people without due process. There is some middle ground, folks. How about we, We stress intelligence. Anyways, I digress. It's a whole lot of stupid happening in this country right now. And I'm not sure how we're going to get through it, to be honest with you. Because you got folks that claim they're on the right side when clearly they're not. The military. How do I feel about the military? Well, here's the truth. I know several people that have retired from the military. I mean, I guess I should say many, but I do know several that have done 20 years and have done their bit. And none of the folks that I know personally support this current regime. So I don't, I honestly don't think any current military is supporting what's going on right now. I personally don't know anybody. But do I support our military? Absolutely, I do. I just don't think anyone really supports what's going on right now with the fascism, the ignorance, the bigotry, the racism, the hatred, the homophobia, the transphobia that exists in this current administration is just bizarre. And the folks that I know that spend a lot of time in the military, nobody supports this nonsense. The only people I know that support this current regime are folks that live in a bubble. There are folks that are just so locked up in their own ignorance and bigotry that they have no ability to see the truth anymore. And that's the problem. It's that cult like mentality, right? It's when folks that support this current regime are told they're in a cult, they always push back. But when you ask them very specific questions, they give you answers that a cult member would give you. The only thing that's different is that it's not an organized cult, right? They don't bring you in, but yeah, they'll give you those same cult like answers, and that's what's the most bizarre about this whole thing is I'm not sure how anybody capable of rational thought that can see what's going on and be okay with it, but folks that are in that cult are able to look at it through a different lens, and you're looking at them and wondering how can you see it that way. And when you ask very specific questions, they are never able to answer them. Like the one I asked earlier is that when I mentioned to someone about are you okay with innocent people being rounded up and taken away? So well, they're not innocent. How do you know they're innocent? Can you name one innocent person? Well, they're all innocent until they've received due process, and that person had no answer to that. They're all innocent until everybody receives due process. They are all innocent. Nobody is guilty. What you think you know about them doesn't matter. You think they're guilty, and that's because this fascist regime wants to make you think they are guilty. So they're telling you things about certain people. Well, how do you know they're innocent? Well, I don't. But you don't know they're guilty either because they haven't received due process. Not one of them has been brought to trial. They're all just being rounded up and thrown in concentration camps. Anyways, I digress. But I digress. I'm done. I'm going to talk about things that don't matter anymore. Because quite frankly, I could talk about this nonsense for hours, and no one is going to change your mind, right? Anybody that disagrees with me, there's nothing I can say that's going to change your mind. There's nothing they can say that's going to change my mind. So why do it, Tom? Well, sometimes I just got to get it out. I just got to say what I got to say. And now I just want to talk about this particular whiskey. I had a very good time at the Rockstown Distillery. They have some very talented bartenders there, some very nice recipes. There are a couple of things I would do differently with the recipes, but it doesn't change the fact that they're good. They had one in particular that I really liked. I didn't like the way it was served. Right, there was one cocktail that I really liked, but it was served. It looked like it was supposed to be. Looking at the ingredients, led you to believe it should be more of an old fashioned style cocktail, but it was served. Well, it served in an old fashioned glass, but with a lot of ice, like a highball, and that kind of ruined the cocktail for me. It seemed like there was way too much ice there. I just wanted one square or globe or something. It just should have been. Other than that, the cocktail was perfect. The ingredients, everything about that cocktail was perfect except for the way it was served. Even the garnish was brilliant. It was a little honeycomb. That was genius. But then there was a whole lot of ice in the glass that kind of ruined the cocktail. And I'm not sure why they didn't serve that with one big square cube or globe or whatever. But nevertheless, but the products they have there, though, are wow. Everything they use is amazing. So there you go. Anyways, but I, but anyway, let me pick up this beer and finish it off. So Point Remove, Moralton, I think. Who knows? Like I said, the brewery wasn't open, so but I did find this at a liquor store. I am Tom, the beer whisperer, beer evangelist, beloved drinker, purveyor of wisdom, and I just remember as a kid, right? We're learning stuff about history. We're learning about Adolf Hitler, thinking, how could this happen? I remember somebody reading some of translated Adolf Hitler's speech. We're all thinking, well, how can people believe that? It's so stupid. And now we're listening to Trump speeches going, huh. you know, I mean, the grammar is so bad. I mean, he speaks at a third, fourth grade level tops, but people are still listening to him. I'm thinking, how can he be taken seriously? Then I go back to my childhood when I'm being taught about Hitler and the same thing. Huh? How can people be so stupid? I'm wondering, and I still wonder how can. And I know some college educated people that voted for him that still support him, and I'm wondering how can you listen to that ignorance, that third, fourth grade tops level grammar, and still say, okay, that's my guy. I just can't make that make sense. Other than he hates the same people you do. He's saying the same stupid shit that you believe. Other than that, it just doesn't make sense. How can you support this idiot? I mean, clearly he's a racist, he's a bigot, he's a homophobe, a transphobe. Yeah, but he hates the same people I do, Tom. So I'm okay with that. Yeah, but he's hurting you too, and that's I don't know. None of it makes any sense. I am Tom, the whiskey whisperer, whiskey evangelist, prolific whiskey drinker, purveyor wisdom. Tom, why are you talking about politics in your videos? It's going to hurt your viewership. People are going to not listen to you. They're going to drop off. Yeah, the truth is, I don't care. I've never really cared about that. I've always cared about being honest. And I've always been that way. And it's been both a benefit and a curse, to be honest with you. I mean, I've had folks stay with me and recommend other folks because of that. And I've lost folks for the same reason. But I'd rather be me and be honest than be two faced just to get likes, right? I'm not going to be somebody I'm not just so folks. Oh, I like this guy. He's benign. I'm never going to be that guy. So I kind of quit trying years ago. I'm never going to be but that benign guy. So you're either going to like me or you're not. You're going to subscribe or you're not. And quite frankly, either way, I don't care. I've never done this to get a lot of likes anyway or to make any money. I do this because it helps me get my thoughts out and it helps me be who I am. So there you go. I am Tom, the beer whisperer, whiskey whisperer. We're just going to skip to the end, say all around good guy, and slut you. And cut. Just kidding.